Welcome to Art After Dark. This is What's the Story? My name is Gladys Ramirez. I'm the Director of Audience Engagement here at the Norton Museum. The Norton marks its 80th year anniversary in 2021. What's the Story invites neighboring cultural and community organizations to mark the occasion by sharing distinguished histories and what's ahead. Tonight, we hear What's the Story with the Armory Art Center. Housed in a historic Art Deco building, the Armory Art Center provides art classes, exhibitions, art salons, lectures, and special events. Join the conversation. Leave us a comment and ask questions using the live chat features on YouTube and Facebook. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce tonight's guest, CEO of the Armory Art Center, Dr. Tom Pearson.
Thank you, Gladys. I'm glad and very delighted to be here to be a part of the Norton After Dark series, and especially on the 80th anniversary, which is very special. So I'd like to share a few things tonight about the Armory, about its beginnings, and where the Armory is today. Starting out, I'd just like to give you a few facts about the Armory as it is today. We serve over 3,000 participants each year at the Armory, covering a vast number of disciplines and exhibits and different lectures and all kinds of encompassing opportunities for people in our community. We also have 300 courses per year that we provide to the community. We serve as a resource for professional development for the Palm Beach County school teachers yearly. And we also participate with at least 6 different nonprofits from time to time, from the Lord's Place, Legal Aid, ChildNet, Place of Hope, and Urban Youth Impact. And these are all important collaborations that we do during the year that we feel like that makes our community stronger and makes it a better place for us to live. Our mission for the Armory, this is the next slide, is to inspire the creation and experience of art. And everything that we do with our collaborations with the other organizations always reverts back to art being the basis of what we do at the Armory Art Center. Let's talk about the very beginning before this building was here. Let's look at the history. Next slide. For those of you that didn't know, this site where the Armory Art Center is today was actually the vegetable market for West Palm Beach. And in the day, vegetables were brought in on the Stub Canal that is adjacent to the Armory, just on the other side of Parker Avenue. And of course, if you can imagine, in that day, Parker Avenue was not there. And so the Armory was exactly adjacent to the canal there. And this was the center of civilization in West Palm Beach for quite some time, especially in the 1890s and 1900s. And this building existed that you're seeing here up until 1939. And in 1939, if you'll remember, just back in 1929 was the Great Depression. And out of the Great Depression came the Work Progress Administration, WPA projects, where they built different constructions across the country. Well, the Armory Art Center was one of those, and it was built as a National Guard Armory, and several National Guard Armories were built as WPA projects across the country. And with that construction, the National Guard actually operated out of this facility, which is now the main building of the Armory Art Center, and then also the building to the west, which is right behind the Armory Art Center, was the motor pool building, where they worked on tanks and Jeeps and so forth. Well, today, that building is our state-of-the-art ceramic and sculpture department. So the Armory functioned as not only the National Guard, a military base, but also during those days, especially in the 50s and 60s, that's when armories throughout, especially the South, were used for dance halls. Local high schools would always have their dances on Saturday night at the National Guard Armory. Growing up in the South, I remember those days especially. And there are a number of celebrities that have been through this building. And I could go on and on and on and name the celebrities, but one especially comes to mind is Chubby Checker. And some of you might be too young to know who Chubby Checker was, or is. Actually, he's still alive. And Chubby Checker was the guy that invented the twist back in the 60s. And Chubby Checker came to town. There's a gentleman that lives in the Glades that actually tells the story where he drove to Miami to pick up Chubby Checker from the airport and bring him here for a high school dance. And they played here that night, and no one in the room knew the twist until that night, and that Chubby Checker actually taught everybody the twist in this building. And so in 1984, this building was abandoned, and the National Guard actually moved to their present building on Gun Club Road, which is across from the Sheriff's Department. And this building was left abandoned. And you'll see on the slide, that's what it looked like. And that's about the time that I actually moved to West Palm Beach. And during that time, the Norton Museum made the decision to close its art school. And in that length of time, I bet a lot of your viewers didn't know that there's that symbiotic relationship between the Norton Museum and the Armory Art Center. But during that time, when the decision was made to close the art school at the Norton Museum, local philanthropist Bob Montgomery and his wife Mary decided to try to find a place for those teachers, those teaching artists that were displaced. And so they decided to try to refurbish this building, the old National Guard Armory. I believe, and I'm not real sure on the fact, but I was told that back in that day, right before it was decided to try to refurbish the building, that the city owned this property, and they had discussed actually tearing it down. And so Bob and Mary put the first money up to refurbish the building, and it took till 1987 to develop the Armory Art Center as a nonprofit organization. And so that's just a little bit of the background and the history of how the Armory came to be. Next, we have a short video, which is an overview of the Armory at present day. So if you will, let's roll the video.
I've been into art all my life. I still have no interest in anything else. If I'm here with a bunch of like-minded people and we're all enjoying ourselves, that's a good day for me.
Before the Armory, I didn't have any experience in art. Having the physical therapy background, I started taking art classes as a challenge. I felt I didn't have any skill.
The Army has a full facility. Anything I need, including advice, is right here at the Armory.
My first step in when I get a student is to sort of erase what they know a little bit and turn them upside down and then reintroduce the world. So you're thinking not just about what it is that we're looking at or aesthetics, but also about meaning, content, and how that applies to everybody or maybe to you personally. I hope that a student who has a desk job, who doesn't necessarily see themselves as somebody who's artistic or creative, is coming in order just to learn something.
There's no end to it. I'd like to be able to do everything extremely well. I'm still learning. This is the equivalent of going to the art gym.
So that gives you just a little bit of a snippet of the day in a life here at the Armory. But in addition to the other things that I've discussed, we also have 2 outreach programs that we're very proud of. And in 2018, we started working with the Human Trafficking Coalition of Palm Beach County. And this was to try to provide art therapy for the girls that had been sex trafficked. And this was something that we were venturing out with an art therapist and trying to, in a way to try to help relieve some of the issues that we're dealing with. And so this program took off, and it took off in a good way. We had so many positive stories that came from the work that was done, pairing an artist and a therapist in the classroom in very small groups. And then with the success of that, we saw that there was a need for work with especially the PTSD vets, and not just PTSD, but other issues that our veterans were having. And so we collaborated with the West Palm Beach VA Medical Center. And with that, we were able to develop the same kind of program with art therapy, pairing a therapist with an art instructor and taking them through different disciplines to be able to work through their art. And one of the things, especially going back to the which we call the Art of the Phoenix, which is the program we established for the sex trafficking, was that we saw that there was more need than just for the sex trafficked girls, but teens of trauma. And so we started looking at other organizations that we could cooperate with and collaborate with. And that's where we were able to build in a larger program with art therapy. And it's still called Art of the Phoenix, and it's teens of trauma and teens that come to us and they're recommended by their therapist or through different organizations to be able to participate. And that program has expanded quite a bit. Getting back to what we call Brave Hearts, which is working with the VA Medical Center, the same scenario there is that those vets are having tremendous success, and we call it Brave Hearts because we want to honor the work that those veterans have done for us. And next, you're going to see a video that was actually produced by the West Palm Beach VA Medical Center about the Brave Hearts program.
The Brave Hearts program has been a collaboration between the Armory Art Center in West Palm Beach and the West Palm Beach VA Medical Center. We were approached by the Armory with this idea to use art to help heal our veterans.
Since we have an Arts for Healing program started with our youth, the board decided that what could we do for adults, and the first thing we thought of were the veterans.
Through the Brave Hearts program with the Armory Art Center, we are encouraging veterans to find another outlet. I have a lot of veterans that I've worked with that feel comfortable coming to the VA Medical Center for their care, but we want to get them more integrated into their communities. And doing that through the arts has been a very natural progression. Getting them comfortable in creating art, going to a community art center, feeling part of that community base has been really healing and helpful for the participants.
So this therapy for me and others, as we say, we have a group dynamics to where we can laugh, we can joke, and we speak the same language, whether it be through the pain or our struggles, but at the same time, we motivate each other in here, and we're being creative and productive at the same time.
Through these classes, not only are they finding a home for groups of veterans to come together and have a shared experience, but they're also finding community with the instructors and the people that they're working alongside with that may not be veterans, but they're making these new connections in a space that they probably wouldn't have come to on their own.
I've worked with the Brave Heart program for the ceramics component, photography component, painting component, and now the metalwork component. And I find it very, very beneficial. A lot of veterans, because they struggle with PTSD, the art helps them with their mental health, helps the right side of the brain with visualization. It helps so many things.
I have recently developed my art talent that I've kind of been on the back burner while I was in the military. And I heard about this and I said, I've never welded. It sounded intriguing. And I've never done metal sculpture. And I said, it's a challenge. I had the opportunity, so I did.
The veterans are self-motivated people. They come in and they're ready to work, get the job done, whatever it is. In metal sculpture, there's a lot of tedious, kind of boring stuff, grinding, whatever. These guys just went right after it, you know, half hour, 45 minutes grinding away without stopping, so.
It's a great class. The welding class, I guess just art in general, because I've never been an artist and I've never been associated with anything like this. And let me tell you, looking at that eagle gives me a lot of pride.
It's just like being in the military, utilizing teamwork, and everyone's trying to help and pitch in and come up with a solution if there's an issue that comes up.
I had a major operation this year, and they thought it might be helpful to work with some other guys and get back on my feet a little bit. I think the final project's gonna really look nice. Once we get it set, once we get it all polished up and everything, move it into the museum, it's gonna be really nice.
In the long term, they're gonna have better success in sense of achievements. It helps them be more aware of themselves. So I would recommend it as a continued program ongoing, and more veterans should be more engaged in it. The arts, at the end of the day, can be challenging to people, or they might say, I don't like art. But if they were really honestly give it a chance, they would see the real strong benefits of it. I've been working with veterans for a long time, and from working with them for years, they never expected that art could actually help transform their thinking and help with their mental health. So I always would recommend it for any veteran. If they were to give it a chance, it would definitely help improve their mental health.
To date, we've served over 250 veterans, and the veterans have to be referred to us. So in other words, they have to come through the VA program first. They have to be referred through from their therapist to us. And you see on the screen, as you saw in the video, they were creating this eagle as a welded sculpture. And that eagle sits in our sculpture garden today, but this is the result. And each year we have an opening of an exhibit of this Brave Hearts program, of the work that the participants have created. And it's always a pleasure to be at that opening reception when the vets come in and they actually see their work exhibited in the hall, and it's quite a moving experience. Next slide. I'd like to show you, this is just kind of an overview of all the things that we do at the Armory, and this does not encompass everything, but just some visual slides of particular things that happen. Next is a listing of all of the different classes of what we teach in the art school. Not only do we do the traditional arts, drawing and painting and sculpture and so forth, but we've also embraced the new arts as far as digital media. We're doing, obviously we do the Photoshop classes, and we do a lot of the digital design classes, but everything always has to originate from the creative process first. And we've even embraced virtual reality, where you can create a piece of sculpture virtually, then take the chip out and put it in one of our 3D printers and produce the work. So it's art is ever evolving, and so here at the Armory Art Center, we're evolving with it. In addition, on this slide, I would like to call your attention to our visiting master artist workshops. Many people love coming in for those. We bring in national and international artists for anywhere from a 2-day workshop to a week-long workshop. We have people fly in just for those workshops. And then what we try to do is have those specialty workshops that are in a specific area that people show interest in and want to develop new skills in that area. So even if folks are quite talented and have emerged as artists, it's always good to find a new technique or a new skill, and we try to do that. In addition to these workshops, we always try to partner with the Norton, and we bring in possibly from time to time that we'll do a docent training here. We're also, as Gladys mentioned earlier, we're glad to be a part of the summer workshops that are happening at the Norton. So these are all just a small inkling of all the things that we do here. The next slide, of course, COVID was quite devastating for all of us. We were actually closed only 3 months, and then we went into teaching virtually just about every class, some more difficult than others. But the first exhibit we had when we opened, and to actually invite people back into the hall, was our own Mark Cohen, who's an instructor here. Mark does these paintings, and he does huge muslin canvases. And this was an exhibit to honor all of the essential workers and all the essential medical workers. And if you notice in the far right, back right, that is the shot that went viral across the country in the newspapers of a husband and wife team that were actually located at Tampa General Hospital. And I'm sorry, it was not the far right, it's far left. And it's the husband and wife team that were located at Tampa General. And so Mark tried to capture each one of these photos. And if you notice in the front left, the little spheres, the little circles are basically the virus. And he kind of carries that theme through a lot of the pieces. I believe there are 8 or 9 pieces. And he even has a couple of EMTs and firemen in the exhibit also. Well, to make a long story short, this exhibit opened up the Armory to exhibits again. And actually, this exhibit is now at Tampa General Hospital, and it's on exhibit there. And so as we move into talking about the last part of what we offer here, but by far not the least, is our summer camp, our summer arts experience program, which is the next slide. And that is going on at the present time. Summer camp is a very exciting time for kids to get to experiment and get to spread their wings in creativity. We have camp for the lower elementary, upper elementary, and then we have the teens classes. Most of the teens classes are much more experiential. Well, all of them are experiential, but especially in the tech area. We've done drone photography, where they do the photography and then bring it in, manipulate it, and animate it. We do animation, and we do a lot of those things, in addition to our textile department, where we're actually doing they were actually this week working on costumes and for theater. And so the many different, for the teens especially, there are other skills that they get to develop here when they're here with us during the summer. And then the last piece is our artist in residence program, and it's a highly competitive program where we have somewhere between 40 and 50 applicants a year for 4 to 5 positions, and we have just chosen our applicants for this. They come in the fall, and it's a 9-month program where they receive a stipend and they work and they teach classes here. They develop their art here, and this is now a 20-year program that's been going on at the Armory Art Center. And now I would like to talk about what's upcoming. The next slide talks about our West Palm Beach Arts Festival. Last year, during COVID, would have been our 5th annual, so we were skipping a year. So this year, this December 4th and 5th, will be 2 days of nonstop music, and artists from all over the country will be here to exhibit and sell their wares. In 2019, when we had our 4th annual, we had 11 states represented, and the furthest state here was from the state of Oregon. So people from all over come, and lots of varied art, and it's a juried show where we have close to 80 to 90 artists exhibit for the 2 days. The next, so that will be December 4th and 5th. Coming up after the West Beach, or actually during the same time, is the next slide. We have the COVID Memorial Quilt exhibition coming. We will be the 2nd place in the country that will be exhibiting all of these panels. What you see here are 3 panels of the 20 that will be exhibited. And those of you that might remember the AIDS quilt that made its way around the country, and each of these little squares represent a loved one that died. And so the Madeline Fugate, who you see here, 14-year-old student in California, had this idea to move this forward, and she started this in her school, and it's grown tremendously. She's been on MSNBC. She's been on a lot of the national news programs, CBS Sunday Morning, and some of those. And so she will be actually bringing the quilts here. September 10th will be the opening, and she and her mother will be here for the opening, and this exhibit will be open until December 6th. So it will be open through the West Palm Beach Art Festival, and it's a free exhibit. Jupiter Medical Center has come on as the sponsor of this exhibit, and we'll be pleased to be able to open it up and have it free to the public. The next slide is something that we're very proud to announce, is that we will have the Michelangelo Sistine Chapel exhibition coming in March 11th through April 29th. This exhibit was, the way it came about is that if you've ever been to Sistine Chapel, most of the tours, you're shoulder to shoulder with people looking at these paintings that are 60 to 70 feet in the air. And so what has taken place is that each of these panels have been photographed with high resolution photography, and then they've been then transferred onto canvas, life size. And so these canvases will be here over your head and around you as you walk through the exhibit hall, and they will be here for everyone to see March 11th. And this is an exciting exhibit for us because it will be, I think, in high demand. So once the tickets go on sale, they're going to be on a national platform where you buy, all the tickets will be purchased online, and there will be assigned times that you will be able to purchase your tickets. And as we move to the next slide, I'm proud to say that we were very thrilled to be able to have 4 awards this year coming out of the pandemic. we really appreciate the Cultural Council recognizing the Armory Art Center with the Muse a Legacy Award for 34 years of service to the community. Of course, then the Palm Beach Post, as far as entertainment and leisure, as a finalist, and also for the Nonprofits First for being a medium-sized nonprofit nominee in their categories. And of course, the last award, which is the next slide, is the one that we're really thrilled about, was the Chamber of Commerce of the Palm Beaches naming the Armory Art Center the Nonprofit of the Year for 2021. And so we're really pleased to be able to share those awards and thank everyone for honoring the work that's done here at the Armory Art Center. Now I'd like to bring Gladys back into our discussion and see if there are any questions.
There are, Dr. Pearson, a lot of comments and chat coming in through YouTube and Facebook. Thank you so much for that really great presentation. Just a really quick shout out. We have Natural Vegan Mama. Her son is attending your art camp program, and she's very thankful for the Armory providing teen programs because there's a lot of programming available in the community for elementary, middle school age children, but she really appreciates your teen programs. We also have Sharon Koskoff, who in 1987 organized the community and painted the building and highlighted the Art Deco elements. So
that's right, Sharon. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we also have Lourdes on Facebook. Thank you, Lourdes. She didn't know that about the program for veterans and the history behind the National Guard Armory. So, oh, great. And she's visiting the Norton next week. So yeah, a lot of great feedback. And I was so impressed by your recent successes in the last year. But can you just touch upon really quickly, what were some of the challenges that you as the head of the Armory faced in this last year with everything going on? And has any of it come out for the better?
Well, actually, we were just like everyone else. There was a period of time when we closed down. What do we do next? That was, where are we going from here? And it really gave, and I came from the attitude that let's not look at this as something negative. Let's look at this as something that gives us an opportunity to move forward. And so with that, a lot of things happened during COVID that things that we needed to do for quite a while. And one was to reimagine ourselves, to revisit ourselves and look inward and see what are the things that we're doing well? What are the things we're not doing well? What can we improve on? What are the different programs that we want to move forward with, or what are some things that are out there that we've never looked at that maybe we should look at? And so it gave us that opportunity. So with that, I'm glad you brought that up because I actually have the new brochure coming out.
Oh, okay.
Here. It's our Reimagining campaign.
Oh, okay.
And this is how we reimagined ourselves with the new Armory moving forward. And so some of the things that are in here, of course, the very first thing is we are applying for the state historic preservation grant, which the main building is on the National Historic Register. And so we're applying to a state grant to get a new roof and to do all the things to keep this building, up and running. In addition to that, we're looking at a new career building program where we're working with a major jewelry person that owns a chain of jewelry stores that I can't speak of to right now, but we're talking about the need for jewelry repair and the jewelry companies that need people. So we're looking at those young adults and people in the community that might have not had the opportunity to go to an art school or to go to some kind of technical school, that they could come to us and we could teach them how to pass the bench test to go to work in a jewelry store.
Oh, wow.
And so that's another little piece. So there's quite a few of those, and I won't take up a lot of time, but that gave us the opportunity to look at all of these programs that we can invest in. And also internally, it gave us an opportunity to refocus our board and to come up with new bylaws for our board. And so it just propelled us to move into the next phase of the Armory. So it's been good for us. But I'll have to tell you, there for a while, you know, it was scary just like everybody else.
Yeah, no, and you know what? I think that's a testament to your leadership that you were able to see it as an opportunity. And it was going to happen to us all regardless. So I'm really excited to hear for your whole organization that you were able to put this spin on it and find ways to emerge better from it. And really, I mean, congratulations to you and everyone. And I know that the Armory has all of these programs, and you were just touching a part of what you were saying was kind of like art adjacent. So providing these avenues for the community to improve themselves, whether that's mental health or different types of, oh my.
Well, I guess we just lost Gladys there for a minute. But I think basically what she was talking about was the different things that we do here in addition to the art classes. And the way we look at that is we're an art school, and we want to be the art school for the region, and we want to be the resource for the community to be able to provide any kind of art integrated activity or any kind of art related piece that can better the quality of life in our community.
Oh, thank you for that. Sorry for the technical difficulties there, but I think you just picked it up exactly where I left off. So thank you so much. Okay, so we touched a little bit about the Norton and how the Norton's shift right towards more of a museum gallery space was really a catalyst for the Armory. And so now you offer classes, art camps, exhibitions. How do people support? Do you accept donations? Do you have memberships? How can the community come and contribute to what you have going on? And also a lot of the wonderful outreach programs I'm sure require funding. So how can people support in those ways?
Well, that's a great question. Yes. And, you know, when people are really surprised to hear that our tuition from our classes only covers about 51% of the operations of the Armory. Oh. Yes, we do get 5% of our funding from government sources, but really the majority of our funding comes from donations and support and from the community, and for individual foundations, family foundations, and people that contribute. So with that, and let me mention too, both the Brave Hearts program and the Art of the Phoenix program are not they're not inside our operating budget. So in other words, we raise funds for those outside of our regular operating budget. And so people in the community have come forward. We did get a small NEA grant for the Brave Hearts program, for the Vets program, but that, you know, we're just kind of moving that along. But we have some very generous people in the community that help us keep those alive, and we're very willing to, you know, we're always trying to fundraise and you know, get a few more dollars in the pot so that we can continue moving. And so Natalie Beck is our development officer. And I would suggest that if anyone's interested in either getting involved with us, getting involved with our board, volunteering, we have an advisory committee, part of the board. We always welcome people to work on our different projects. And when we have our gala, we welcome people to serve on committees. And any of these outside opportunities that we do, we welcome people to get involved. And so Natalie Beck is the best person to contact if anyone wants to contribute or donate to any of the specific programs. Natalie's the person, so it's natalie.beck@armoryart.org.
Good plug. Okay. And then one last question before we run out of time here, but I wanted to kind of just illuminate the impact the Armory has on artists, working artists in our community. You know, not everyone is, you know, making their living solely through artwork. Many artists are teaching artists, and the Armory does such a wonderful job of employing and supporting so many artists in the community. How do you see your role, or the Armory's role, in sustaining the artist community here in West Palm Beach and Palm Beach County?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, first of all, we have 40 adjunct faculty, and those are all teaching artists. And not all of them work all the time, because some of the times they travel, like during this part of the year, they go to other parts of the country to work. But we have a schedule that we know during certain times of the year, certain classes are more popular. And so we try to continue that flow of keeping those artists employed when they're here. It's always important that, you know, the class is filled. So we have to have a minimum number in a class to be able to run it. But, and the instructors get paid by the classes they teach. Mm-hmm. So with that, in addition to serving as the resource for people that are taking the classes, we also have those artists in the community creating. So we look at it as a way to be able to support those artists so that they can, in their individual studios, create and be able to contribute to the community. In addition to that, I want to jump into saying that that's one of the reasons we feel it's important to continue our Artist in Residence program. Because when they come into the community, they bring a new vibrance and new techniques and new ideas. And these are emerging artists that are either have a BFA or an MFA and have demonstrated, you know, proficiency. And so they're not just somebody that has just started out. These are people that we, and I'll have to say, there are a number of artists that have been in our Artist in Residence program that are now national names. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. And so it's really important. We feel that this is a good incubator, not only for our community to have that resource, but for them to be able to create art here for the public.
Yeah, that's fabulous. And that's a good opportunity to make a quick plug before we go about our partnership this summer between the Armory and the Norton Museum. We'll have artists, teaching artists from the Armory facilitating art workshops in our sculpture gardens. So if you'd like to participate in the upcoming workshops, I think the next one in July is sold out, but we'll still have slots available in August. For those of you that want to register, please visit our website at norton.org. Dr. Pearson, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for sharing this. What's the story with the Armory Art Center?
Thank you, Gladys, and I was delighted to be here.
And thank all of you for joining us. And we'll see you soon. Good night.